the biggest difference between small, medium, and large producers in the mortgage broker and private money space. What's going on, guys? Nick Friel here, founder of Media Simplified. We are a digital marketing agency that focuses on mortgage brokers and private money lenders. We've been in business for over 8 years. We've helped well over 800 mortgage brokers and loan officers scale their business, and we've helped them close over $1 billion in funded deals. Now, with that being said, in this video, we're going to be covering the biggest difference between small, medium, and large producers in the mortgage broker and private money space. And that big difference comes down to how they view lead generation, how they actually scale their business. So I'm going to go through each scenario one by one, focusing on what they should be doing to fix that problem and get to that next source. So if you're a small loan producer, we're going to focus on what you need to do to become a medium producer. If you're a medium producer, what you need to do to become a large producer, so on and so forth. So I'm really excited about this video. It came to me because we've spoken with so many different people, so many different clientele, so many different prospects. And after thousands and thousands of conversations, you start to see patterns, especially in the way people view things and their outlook. And that's really what gave me the idea for this video, is talking with a lot of brokers who have done $50 to $100 million plus in loan volume over the last 12 months and seeing their outlook on leads and what they're focused on, versus people who are doing, maybe $1 to $10 million in loan volume and how they're looking at leads and whatnot. We're going to break down each one, starting with the smaller solo producers. So this is going to be anyone from like 1 to 15 million. Obviously, if you're on the lower end, you have more to work on. But with that being said, the biggest thing with these smaller producers, the biggest kind of hindrance on their outlook is a lot of times you still have to convince them that leads work. So a lot of times these smaller producers are fully reliant on realtor referrals and their network to get business, and they've never really had any sort of leads that worked out. And I think the biggest thing that needs to be addressed here is that people in this $1 to $15 million range, you have to learn that cold traffic and warm traffic, which would be referrals and whatnot, they're two different monsters. We have a whole nother video dedicated to this, but with that, the biggest thing you need to focus on is learning that there's a different way to follow up and close deals when it comes to leads and cold traffic. It's not going to be as easy as your warm traffic stuff. The mindset of those people a lot of times is leads don't work, or they at least don't work for me. You need to get out of that mindset as quickly as physically possible and start to focus on finding at least one lead source that you can go out and get a deal from. Go get that first deal done from not a referral, and your whole outlook will change on leads, and you can actually start to become kind of independent when it comes to how you produce your business, because you can start to produce leads and close leads, and not everything's coming from referrals. For smaller producers, that's what you want to focus on, is breaking that limiting belief that leads don't work for you. We want to get one lead source in and focus on getting our first close from that outside lead source, and start to learn the difference between hot referrals and cold traffic and how each needs to be followed up with. Once you get that first lead source and that first close, it becomes a rinse and repeat process where you can decide, okay, if I want to close this many deals, then I need to spend X amount of traffic to get this amount of closes. And that's how you scale up to that medium producer where you're around, 15 to say 30 million in loan volume. So that's what we're going to discuss next, is those medium producers. So oftentimes these medium producers have a mix of both organic traffic coming from realtor referrals and whatnot, but they usually have a lead source, or they've used leads in the past and have had some success with it. They're starting to build up a big list and getting traffic from that. So the biggest thing that you need to focus on at that point is going to be systems and training. So at that point, you need to make sure that everything is very simple and replicatable for your team. You need to make sure you have systems in place. When you're at that medium range, the first thing that's going to happen is you start getting lots of leads, and you get this anxiety realizing that you are in fact missing out on deals because you can't constantly chase all of these people around. So that's when you're going to need a system, and you're going to need a number of systems, but you're going to need team members to help you with keeping track of the people who have filled out apps, keeping track of the people who haven't filled out apps. So at that medium range, that's where you kind of enter the business aspect of this, where you're no longer just a solopreneur taking on all of the loans yourself. You start to put in systems and processes to make sure that your team members can take over bits and pieces of this system. And then from there, you can scale up and bring on more and more lead sources, knowing that people are actually going to get followed up with, and eventually they're going to be, closing with you. And that's what's going to allow you to get to that big producer range of 50 to 100 million. That's what we're going to go into next, is that range of 50 to 100 million. And the biggest difference between this range and all the rest is that there's no coincidence that people that are from 50 to 100 million, they always have lots of leads. They're already spending usually thousands of dollars on lead. And that's not a coincidence. It's because they realize that lead generation is the heart and soul of their growth. And you don't need to convince them that leads are working. Like, they just need more numbers because they realize that this is a numbers game. So that's the biggest thing about that large producer doing between 50 to 100 million that everybody should try and get to quickly, is they don't need to be sold on lead. They know this is a numbers game. They know they need to figure out what those numbers are and just continue to scale up. So it's no surprise that every time you speak with a producer doing 50 to 100 million, they always have thousands of leads. And what that large producer needs to focus on to do even better and scale to that next realm is efficiency. So a lot of times, once they get to that place, they have team members doing things and they're a little bit detached from the scenario. So they need to focus on automation, S&Ps, and having workflows and things so that everything they're doing is more efficient. When you're working with thousands of leads per month, there's so much waste that sometimes it's not the best move to just get another 1,000 leads per month. Sometimes the best move is to look internally and see, how do we improve our conversation rate? How do we improve our conversation to application rate? And what automations and processes can we put in place to make ourselves more efficient? Because once you've squeezed out all the efficiency and you don't have a bunch of waste, then from there, as you scale up and you do 2,000, you know that you're not leaving a bunch of money on the table and you don't have like a gaping hole in your sales process. That's the big thing for large producers. Focus on efficiency, focus on automation, focus on AI, whatever you can do to alleviate your loan officers from certain steps. Make sure you're also big on tracking and reporting, because everything that you're doing to improve efficiency should be based off of stats and reporting. So those are the big things for the bigger producers. That was the big realization I had, that small producers, 1 to 15 million, usually you have to convince them of the need for leads, whereas producers doing 50 to 100 million, usually they understand upfront this is a numbers game and they need to be focused on efficiency. So that's my take on it. If you found this video helpful, please do me a favor, like, comment, subscribe, share it. Any bit of support helps. Even if this helps one mortgage broker or private money lender improve their business and start to scale, that'll be good with me. So once again, my name's Nick Friel, founder of Media Simplified. Can't wait to see you on the other side.